this world. There are men who dream and never make it off their couch. There are men who dream and fail. And then there are men who dream and change the landscape of this world. People like Bray Wyatt. Well, what about you, man? That's what I want to know. Aren't you tired of feeling unwanted? Aren't you tired of feeling like an outcast, of being stepped upon? Then today is your day. Because today is the day that Bray Wyatt decided he was going to change everything. Today is the day that hell froze. Today is the day that pigs fly. Today, me and my people looked at fear right in the eye and we said, Mr. Fear, sir, you
have no accent, though. You have no Long Island accent that I can discern.
Not really. I've been in LA for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And it just goes away naturally, right?
It goes away naturally, and there's also certain words that there's nothing you can do about. Like my friend Bodie Elfman, he always teases me and he says, "Hi, my name is Danny Masterson. Would you like to touch my balls?" An imitation of me, because certain words.
Why are you asking people to do that? That's the more important question.
You got them.
Yeah, that's the more important thing.
Exactly.
I've heard about you, and you'll be caught soon. I know you will.
I will.
I think you should be working at the snack bar. You better relax, Bob. There is no way that you could have been as bad at hockey as you are at golf.
All right, let's go. Oh! You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby.
The price is wrong, bitch.
I think you've had enough. No? Now you've had enough. Bitch.
As we get ready for the 7th and final game of the Stanley Cup Finals, you can feel the electricity in the air, and there's no question, it just sends a chill up your spine, Paul.
That's a fact, Mike. And to make things even more exciting, the Vice President of the United States is here this evening.
Don't leave your seats.
Doesn't look too good.
911 emergency services.
I'm calling you from the Civic Arena. The Vice President is being held hostage in the owner's box. And they've got my daughter, too.
What is your objective? $1,700,000,000.
We're still evaluating the situation.
They want money, a lot of it. Give it to them.
Do not try any kind of rescue. Do you understand me?
If you're not gonna pay, say so. I'll get my daughter.
When the game ends, everyone in this box and in this arena will die by explosion, fire, and panic.
Tonight, 17,000 hockey fans have been taken hostage.
Enough bombs have been planted in this building to stop all the clocks in the hemisphere.
But only one of them knows it.
I'm gonna try to stop you.
I know where the bombs are, so I know where you're going.
Then come and get me.
We are going to do this by the numbers.
What number was that?
Now he has more to lose than anyone.
I said, no vehicles on the grounds, no helicopters in the air. What part of that did you not understand?
Jean Claude Van Damme powers Boothe. Sudden death.
Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios,
It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were
counts me down.
All right, this feels like deja vu.
Yeah.
All over again.
As it is.
As it is, 2004, the infamous Danny Masterson, Conan O'Brien clip. We got Happy Gilmore, The Price is Wrong, bitch, as we say rest in peace to Bob Barker. Bray Wyatt, what's considered one of his best promos, his final promo in NXT before being called up to the main roster. We say rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. We'll get Andrew's thoughts on the passing of Bray. And, of course, the movie that we're covering today, Sudden Death. Evan Moody live from Phoenix, Arizona. Andrew Gruthius live from Coconut Creek, Florida. Welcome to Nothing Worthwhile, episode number 110. We're doing it Van Dammit style today, this morning, as we take a look back at Jean Claude in 1995, Sudden Death. All of that plus Spanning the Universe. One thing we are watching this week. Let me bring him in, the aforementioned Andrew Gruthius, live from Coconut Creek, Florida. We're doing it again, Andrew. Welcome on a rare Sunday morning taping.
Rare Sunday. I think it's becoming more often we do it on Sundays. I don't know, for some reason.
I feel
maybe it's a religious thing.
Maybe it's like the WWE moving to Saturday nights for their premium live events. It's a new strategy.
Yeah, and it seems to be working for us. Good to see you.
Yeah. We're averaging one podcast every 3 months now.
Exactly. Yeah, it was good to see you a couple weeks ago in New York. Another famous New York run. Lots of laughs and some good tunes with some good friends. And now back in the grind of the 95-degree heat of Florida and back to work, and all is well.
Did you get any residual from that hurricane? Was there anything going on by you?
Nope, other than just the usual 5 o'clock shower that we get, which happens anyway. We really did not get anything of note from that hurricane, and God bless the people who did.
Yes, God bless.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know because it's like any other media story. It's once it's gone, they don't talk about it anymore. Apparently, it slammed the bend by the Panhandle in Florida.
So this wasn't a direct West Coast hit, or it was like in the middle, the Panhandle kind of deal, or towards the west side.
Yeah, it sliced through that Tampa area by the bend and went straight into Georgia. I don't know. It's where hurricanes are weird. You know that.
Maybe I'm going to cancel our plans to retire to Clearwater Beach, Florida.
Yeah, they seem to be getting the direct hits lately up there.
I wonder how Hulk Hogan's restaurant maintained.
Yeah, they still did their Monday karaoke last week, so I think they're okay.
I saw the Hulkster. He's declaring he's alcohol free, and he dropped 40 pounds.
I don't want him to drop 40 pounds. Hulk Hogan's supposed to be larger than life.
He's still he still looks to be in for his age in phenomenal shape. I'll say that.
Come on, when you're getting that old, you're supposed to become a fat fuck. Come on.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Hey, Andrew, let me put this up. But I'm a big fan of. We've covered. I think we did one of the Godzilla movies, one of the reboots, and I wanted to get your opinion. We've talked about this, I think, in passing or maybe on the podcast. Apple TV is doing a television show starring Kurt Russell that's in the Monsterverse. It's called Monarchy. I think it's called Legacy of Monsters. The teaser trailer is up, and I want to get your opinion of it right now. Do you see it on your screen?
Yeah. Is this the one he's doing with his son?
This is, and let me cue it up and let's take a look and
let's
get your
take a look at
thoughts.
this.
Monarchy Legacy.
I read about this today, but I have not seen any of this. So,
yeah, Apple Plus TV. Let's take a look.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know if this will get to you. I hope so. I can't go back in time and fix all the mistakes I made, but maybe I can leave something for the future. A legacy.
John Goodman?
He looks gaunt.
Is on fire. I decided to do something about it. Hopes, dreams, ambitions. The mission was to protect their world and ours. That's what we wanted Monarch to be. Instead of chasing monsters. If you come with me, you'll know everything, I promise.
I'm in.
What'd you think, Groo?
That looks great. That looks like a lot of fun. I have a question, though.
Go ahead.
Is Goodman the same character in this as he was in Kong Skull Island?
I believe so.
So it's in that. So it's in that MonsterVerse.
Yes.
Okay, I'm in. I like it. It looks great.
I think it's supposed to pick up after the first Godzilla movie, after the attack on San Francisco. And yes, the Goodman character from Kong Skull Island, who's a Monarch official. I think it's wrapped a little bit around him. And then the Kurt Russell character spans 40 years or 30 years, and his son plays the younger version of himself.
Right. That looks great. I love Kurt Russell. Huge Kurt Russell fan.
Me too.
See him in just about anything. Goodman is great always. And it just looks. It just looks good. It looks good. I'm in.
Yeah,
is that out now?
For me, it's going to start in November. I'm not a big Apple TV guy, but boy, this looked like they put a ton of dough into it, and the monsters look like movie quality. I'm actually really excited.
Apple TV has some good stuff out there.
I like Ted Lasso. I think I've mentioned that on one of our podcasts. And there's
they have
one
this
or two
like
other
Harrison
ones.
Ford show where he's like a psychiatrist or something. There's the Springsteen documentary, which is very good.
All right, but that's not. I'm talking about the television.
I understand.
I'm actually looking forward to it. They have a couple of science fiction-y TV shows that have caught my interest a little bit. But no, looking forward to it. Groo, listen, let's move it on. Before we get into overtime and the sudden death, let's check out the latest news on our favorite 80s action stars. Groo, cue it up. It's time for Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
All right, Groo, Spanning Universe is brought to you by New You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out all their wonderful laser treatments at www.newlifecenters.com. Give them a call at 602-274-0068. I stopped by there yesterday. They were nice and busy. Tell them Moody and Groo and sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. New You Life Center. Restore your youthfulness with confidence. Let's start that new you. Free consultation, customized services, feel good in a stress-free environment. That's New You Life Center.
Next to Cape and Willow.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the copy queued up for that one on this. I got different notes for Nothing Worthwhile than Van Damme.
I know.
Don't ask. All right, let's talk about our guy Jean Claude Van Damme. After all, Groo, this podcast is named Van Dammit. While chatting with comicbook.com in promotion of the second season of Apple TV's The After Party, Jean-Claude Van Johnson director Peter Anastasiou opened up about Jean-Claude Van Damme and revealed that the 90s action star was, quote, everything you want him to be. Van Damme kept a low profile these last couple of years before returning with 2008's meta action crime film JCVD, which we'll cover somewhere down the line, which starred the time cop actor as a fictionalized version of himself who gets caught up in a bank robbery. The Street Fighter actors appeared in the franchises such as The Expendables, Kung Fu Panda, and Groo. He starred in this, which I didn't even know, this Prime miniseries, Jean-Claude Van Johnson. I know you and I talked about it a little bit on the phone. Have you even heard about this Prime miniseries, Jean-Claude Van Johnson?
Other than its existence, I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Again, it's one of those meta. He portrays a fictionalized
But by the way, what can you explain to me real quickly? When you say, you've used that word a couple times. When you say meta, what does it mean? What other people say that? I don't understand what it's referring to.
Maybe it's like meta is like almost like when you say tropes. Meta is like a wink and a nod. So like in Jean-Claude Van Johnson, he's portraying himself as an actor, Jean Claude Van Johnson, who's doubling as a super agent. So it's like an insider wink and a nod.
Okay.
That's like when
All
I
right.
think of meta kind of stuff, where you're like JCVD, the movie, the 2008 Jean Claude movie JCVD. He plays himself as a broken down, aging action star who I think gets caught up in a real life criminal robbery and has to become a superhero for real. These kind
So
of
it's
things
like
are
when you're
meta.
letting the audience in on the joke.
In on the joke, and you're almost like, in a sense, maybe spoofing yourself or
Okay.
spoofing a spoof.
All right. Okay. I understand.
Does that make sense?
A little bit. I feel a little better.
Thank you. This guy goes on to say about Jean-Claude, oh my gosh, he's a character. He's just kind of everything you want him to be. He's really that strange and that amazing. He's in incredible shape, but he's also just out. There was one day in particular I'll never forget doing that show for him. It was such a surreal experience because I don't know, Dave was taking things from his real life and in his past and mixing it in with his narrative. It was like half wish fulfillment, half brutal self-reflection. And he went on to say, one day he, meaning Jean-Claude, came to me on the set. He was dead serious. He just grabbed me by the shoulder and he was like, Peter, to be honest with me, there is no show. This is an intervention, yes? And I was like, I hate to break it to you, Jean-Claude, but this is definitely a show that we're making. This is not just a therapy session for you. But he had an emotional breakthrough on the show. It was a wild experience, but he was a lot of fun to work with. Groo, he goes on to say that Jean-Claude, he's out there. He lives a crazy life. He gets in his Bentley convertible every day. He's got 3 dogs in the back seat. He goes to Gold's Gym every day. He's still super committed as an actor. Everywhere you go with him, people come up to him and say, you're my hero. You're the reason I did this. You changed my life. Groo, you and I may check out Jean-Claude Van Johnson on Prime Video. Apparently, maybe this guy's doing a show called The After Party. But more often than not, Groo, are you surprised by the warm comments Jean-Claude received from this director?
No, I've heard nothing, but you don't really hear people who've worked with him say negative things about him. You hear people who are in competition with him say negative things about him. No, it doesn't surprise me. All these guys are softening in their older age, I think. At least I'd hope. But no, there's nothing odd about the story. I'm interested in the show.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about what we're covering for the next Van Damme. Maybe we'll throw in episode 1 of Jean-Claude Van Johnson. I know it stars Felicia Rashad, and again, it's Jean-Claude playing Jean-Claude Van Johnson, who's a movie star but doubles as a real-life super agent. Again, it's what I would call that meta. He's spoofing himself, spoofing the ideas of some of his movies, perhaps.
It's like The Cosby Show. Oh, wait, no, we don't want to go there. That 70s show. No, we don't want to go there either. No, it's tough to find anything. No, I understand. You know,
Let me
it's
ask
like
you a question. You mentioned
it's like Roseanne. No, we don't want to go to Roseanne either.
Roseanne was different. Roseanne said something outlandish, or maybe you don't think outlandish, but go to the Masterson clip. So people are surmising that Conan knew something about Danny Masterson. Is that your read on? Is that
no?
Okay, hold on. Let me finish. Let's set it up professionally. Is that your read on the clip, or is it circumstance? What's your read on something like that?
My read on the clip is that Danny Masterson probably had a reputation the same that a lot of those guys had. Just, you know, a womanizer. Yeah, womanizer, and just said what now today would be considered to be inappropriate things to women, even though they're
inappropriate or illegal.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
I'm suggesting that he definitely did what he did. But what I'm talking about is Conan's perspective. So my feeling is that Masterson is like known to be this kind of guy, not a guy who would rape anybody, or evidently he was. But as far as his reputation, just one of these guys who's just rude to women, and there were plenty of them.
Come here and touch that ball.
Like a Dice Clay like character in a way. I think he had that reputation, And I think it's on that level that Conan knew him. No, one of these days, somebody's going to get pissed off. I think that's what he was trying to say. Not one of these, I know what you do and somebody's going to get you. I don't think it was that. I did not get that from that. No way.
And I absolutely agree with your take on it as well. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Groo, excuse me, I got still a little bit of a cough. Sly Stallone revealed his favorite Arnold movies while taking part in a Discord AMA. One thing that Arnold or Sly talked, a Discord. I don't know. I've heard some of the guys on The Last of the Action Hero, they have a Discord, which is, I think maybe you can maybe go on and talk to people live while maybe you're filming a podcast or have people comment. I don't know either, but your production. So look into it, please. Our production.
You want a Discord? We'll get you a Discord.
We're still doing 90s carts and.
Give me the tape!
Yeah, I love that clip. And then Howard goes, Richard, you're wearing panties. And you hear Richard, stop it, Howard. You're running around in panties. This is interesting. We learned that Schwarzenegger convinced Stallone, perhaps with a little bit of a strategy, to take part in the terrible movie Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Arnold revealed, I read the script and it was a piece of shit. Let me be honest. I say to myself, I'm not going to do this movie. Then I went to Sly, and Sly called me and said, have I ever talked to you about doing this movie? And I said, yes, I was thinking about doing it. It's a really brilliant idea, this movie. And I think he kind of convinced Sly to jump the gun and do the movie. Stallone called that movie maybe one of the worst films in the entire solar system, including alien productions that we've never seen. A flatworm could write a better script than Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. However, Groo, Stallone did reveal his favorite Schwarzenegger movies during this Discord AMA. His first pick was, of course, probably Arnold's most iconic film, Terminator 2: Judgment Day, directed by James Cameron. He joked, I said you have the easiest movies in the world to do. You just walk down the middle of the street, punching the crap at everybody. No one hurts you. Unfortunately, my characters all got beat up. I feel so bad for you, Sly. Wah. He also talked about another big fan of Stallone, was also a big fan of Schwarzenegger's other Cameron collaboration, True Lies. 1994, we know who it stars with, Jamie Lee, Bill Paxton, Tom Arnold. According to Stallone, True Lies was a very good because he combined everything in that. The wit, the romantic aspect, the charm, and then great action with the great director. So that would do it. Groo, no surprises here. Sly, a fan of T2 and True Lies. What do you think about some of Stallone's banter on Arnold?
Can't argue with those choices, but I will say about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, I've heard that story, and that's on Stallone, man. Stallone should have known that Schwarzenegger was fucking with him. That's just stupid.
Yeah,
if the guy
Sly look like the stereotypical meatball, like
exactly, exactly. If we all know Schwarzenegger to be like that kind of guy, just somebody who I don't know, just lighthearted in a way that would say, "Oh yes, definitely do it. You should do it," which is a clear sign not to do it.
If I could briefly interrupt, I would also say Arnold is actually very well thought out. I don't even think it's like jovial. I think Arnie back in the day, or maybe even now, he's always trying to read the room and be 2 steps ahead of the game.
But he also seems like the kind of guy, if he were like in the WWE, he'd be known as the biggest ribber. He'd be known as that guy who would just fuck with anybody at any point just for fun. He seems like that kind of guy.
Why do I think Arnold would be actually known as the most political backstage guy to protect his spot at the top?
One could be both.
Okay.
But
fair enough.
But I will make a confession about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Please don't.
No, it's not what you think.
What is it going to be? It was so bad. I
have never actually seen it.
Neither have I.
Never seen it.
I've seen it.
Never seen it. Never seen it, and I wouldn't think there'd be any reason to, unless the guys on Last of the Action Heroes, somebody there gives it some kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I follow what they say.
For the heck of doing it, let's cover it.
But no, I've never seen it, and I've never had any interest in seeing it.
All right, let's cover it at some point. Groo, speaking of Arnie, could Arnie star in a proposed sequel to Prey, a sort of reboot of the Predator franchise? Groo, Prey came out of nowhere and was an instant success for Hulu. It was a fresh take on the Predator franchise, and it did include a star-making performance by Amber Midthunder. The Prey, that was this star. Come on, I know. She's she's a Native American actress that starred in the movie Prey, which was the reboot. Amber Midthunder is her name. Insert joke here. He was really good, actually.
I thought we weren't allowed to use those names anymore.
That's her name, Amber Midthunder. Midthunder has even previously... First of all, I can't believe you've not seen Prey. I think you've
No, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I didn't say you've... I know you've heard of it. I can't believe it. I'm pretty sure you're a fan of Predator, at least the Arnold.
Oh yeah, there's no. If you're asking me if there's any reason that Dylan couldn't, that was his name, right?
Dylan.
No, what was his name? Dylan. That character couldn't be in this thing. There's no reason.
But you have to see Prey, which they've taken the Predator franchise and they've put it back to the 1800s, and so Prey, the sort of soft reboot that it is, and I did like it. It's a little wokey, but they take it to Native American times where the first Predator ship comes to Earth, and this Native American tribe tangles with the Predator, and it's a first version of the Predator, so it's a more feral-looking Predator. It's a more simpler version of the Predator, and also the main storyline is this female who's in the Native American tribe. She wants to hunt like all the boys, and she's a female, so she doesn't want to take the more traditional female role in the tribe, but yet circumstances align that she ends up being one of them to square off against the Predator, and as the final girl in the movie. I really did like it. I would encourage you to, if you have a couple hours, check it out.
According to the rules of the Predaverse,
go ahead.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's character in some form could end up in this world.
So here's what the director, Dan Trachtenberg, who did 10 Cloverfield Lane, he also directed Prey. This is what he said. I did learn that there was an attempt to have Arnold in the sequel Predators. All I'll say is there's still time for those guys. They're still around, and wouldn't that be awesome? I don't know if it could fit in this sort of reboot, but Arnold has returned to iconic franchises before, 2019 Terminator Dark Fate. So the door is left open. So basically, you've answered my question, but Groo, are you down for Arnold returning in some fashion to the Predator franchise?
Always down for that, no matter what it is. To me, the guy can do no wrong, but do I think it'll happen? Probably not, because with Arnold, it really, and I guess rightly so in many ways, it usually comes down to money. He's a business guy, and I don't see them shelling out what he would charge for that. But never say never, and I would love it. Yeah, sure. Wasn't there going to be a True Lies one also?
I think that's how they did the Netflix show, which I've not watched.
Oh, Fubar, yeah, okay.
I just haven't heard any positive or any buzz from.
I've heard middling. I haven't heard bad, but I've heard half-assed.
Yeah, I'd rather actually cover Jean Claude Van Johnson because at least it's related to this podcast, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'd give it a shot. Groo, another Van Damme, another goofy story on Steven Seagal, and this time it's coming from, I would say, a nothing worthwhile favorite, Tom Arnold. Tommy was part of the San Diego Comic-Con panel a few weeks ago. Some of you may know I got a chance to visit the Tucson Comic-Con.
Yes.
Thank you to one Teresita Oliveras, who was a colleague of mine at work, who her and her husband
got to meet
the rights.
The greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and I don't care what you say about Gunther.
He said he doesn't really watch the current product, so
he's been tweeting and retweeting all that shit over and over again.
I'm not on Twitter, but at least to my face, he seemed very unaffected by it. He was like, I don't even watch the current product.
I hope he doesn't. I love the guy. He's great. He's my guy.
Here's what I'll say. You and I have goofed on him because he doesn't wear the honky-tonk gimmick. But the guy could have not been any nicer. I went up to him. I had your questions on my phone, and I was like, I'd love to ask you a couple of questions. He's like, why don't you come over to the panel discussion? We're going to have it in 5 minutes. I was like, where is it? He's like, go to room 271D. And we went. And he ran long.
Did he take your drink order too? Did he ask if you wanted fries with that also?
It was good, but like he ran long, and so we couldn't. I didn't even get a chance to ask him a couple of questions.
I would have. Did anybody ask questions?
Yeah, they asked him a couple of questions.
Anything interesting?
No, not the stuff that I had. I even wanted to ask him about the Honkeytonk Man vote of confidence, that whole angle. If that was a way to spin him.
Yeah,
from good guy to bad
you know
guy.
what? And the funny thing is,
he said being a bad guy was more his kind of like his center. Like that was where he was more comfortable. And so I think the idea that he started off as a fan favorite, he was really not. At least his spin on it. That's his spin. Was I wasn't comfortable. And, it was only a matter of time before I moved to becoming a heel.
Because I'll tell you something, and I know we're getting off topic, but real quick, I've been watching some old wrestling challenges because I wanted to, because after you said that, I wanted to check it out. And I've been looking at those first few weeks when he came in as a face, and I was looking for clues as to answer that question. Was the plan the whole time for him was he meant to be a heel? And
I'm not sure he was meant to be. That's where
there are some interesting little drops that definitely point in that direction as far as planting a seed. I did notice a couple things, but it's fun. It was fun to do, and really pathetic that I have nothing else to do with my time. But in any case, it was still fun to do. But I'm glad the experience was nice. Now when we go to WrestleCon, whenever the next one that we go to will be, I might want to. We've always avoided him because of he doesn't really get into character. But you know what? Your experience, I would really enjoy meeting him.
Yeah, it was like, if you do the 2-for-1, I'll take $10 off. And so I got the signed picture and the photo.
Oh, it makes you feel so great about life, doesn't it?
I know. It's like Howard saying when people used to buy a Jackie Martling shirt. Like I was like, why do I? But actually, you know what? I would actually, if we saw him again at WrestleCon, I would get pictures with you. He did agree with me that the setup at the LA WrestleCon was wonky. I didn't like it. All the different rooms. You had to walk around and shake around the row.
See, that's the honky tonk I want, man.
Yeah, he was a trained educator, trained teacher.
Really?
He was a teacher for 3 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Before he went
Mr.
to wrestling.
Ferris.
Yes. So anyway, Tom Arnold was at the San Diego Comic-Con, and he was talking about Exit Wounds, which starred Steven Seagal, DMX, right? And Anthony Anderson.
I like that movie.
Tom was talking about they were shooting on a houseboat in Toronto when the director, a fellow by the name of Andrzej Bartwiak, wanted to do a run-in. He wanted to do a run through the scene, and Steven Seagal says, I don't want to rehearse. Arnold said he sat in his chair for 45 minutes. He could have rehearsed. He could have blocked it. He could have done everything. And then he said Seagal instructed the director to roll the camera to film the scene in which the actor was supposed to get up, leave through a door on the side of the boat. But because he had argued so long with everyone about not rehearsing that he forgot what door to go out, recalls Arnold, and the star went out the wrong exit. He started heading to the door. I looked at Anthony Anderson and I was like, should I tell him? And Anthony Anderson was like, no. And Seagal opens the door and goes, oh, fuck, and disappears into the ocean. And he had to be fished out by 4 people, according to Arnold. God. Tom Arnold says the lesson of the story, which he's told in interviews and to co-stars over the years, is not to be a jerk. Tom Arnold goes on to share that Steven Seagal, who now lives in Russia, I don't know that to be true. That's Tom Arnold saying, holds Russian and Serbian citizenship. I think that's true. Is fully aware that the comedian Tom Arnold has been telling this story over the years and doesn't seem pleased. A mutual friend, we have said to me, hey, I talked to Steven. I'm going to set up a meeting. And I go, no, don't do that. Steven Seagal says, I want to know who's paying Tom Arnold to badmouth me. I go, nobody is paying me, he continues. If I had a sense of humor at it all, he knows that everybody I do it with movies. I do a story. I do stories about Arnold, people I love, all these different people over the years. You don't have to pay me to tell stories. The problem with him is he's got so many. Groo, I don't know what else to say. Yet another overwhelming positive anecdote about one Stevie Seagal.
Arnold is exactly right. There's so many.
Well, I think Arnold's saying, "Look, I got stories about everybody."
But he's also saying that Seagal is legendary for these stories. So it's at this point, Seagal should just embrace it already and just say, "Yeah, I've been a schmuck, and I am what I am. I'm making money and I'm living my life. He survived this long without any friends. He should be fine." He just seems like everywhere you turn, it just seems like he's just an asshole, and that's okay.
I think he should do a new Prime television miniseries called Steven Seagal, and he's a American in Russia as a TV star, as a double agent spy who's spoofing meta. Okay, anyway,
well,
Steven Seagal,
the old double standard me. I'm right there. I'd watch it in a second.
Yeah, I might actually too, to be honest. I really loved his reality show when he was the New Orleans cop, so to speak.
Who's his wacky partner, Mel Gibson?
No, he did that like he was like an honorary cop in New Orleans. It was a real reality show.
Steven Seagal Lawman. I did watch a couple episodes of that.
Groo, speaking of Mel Gibson, Van Dammit's favorite anti-Semite, Mel Gibson, is indeed back yet again with the upcoming thriller movie Desperation Road, which stars Garrett Hedlund, Willa Fitzgerald, and one Mr. Mel Gibson. The official film synopsis has this gritty and dramatic story centered around Russell Gaines, Garrett Hedlund, a former convict striving to rebuild his life following his release from prison. In order to do so and head down a new path, Russell seeks assistance from his father, Mitchell, played by Mel Gibson. However, things take a dramatic turn when Mabon, Willa Fitzgerald, enters Russell's life and their story unfolds. Then they find themselves on the run. Let me set up this clip for you, Andrew. La-da-dee, la-da-dee, la-da-dee. Groo, can you see the screen? Desperation Road. Mel Gibson, his new movie. Garrett Hedlund, here we go.
What are you doing?
Going back to my room. I didn't do nothing.
Y'all never do.
What are you doing?
Typical white trash setup.
Welcome home. What happened to your face?
Just a little going away present from the boys.
They let you out early. You ain't out of my reach, boy.
Boy,
you're being awful hard on yourself. We can be forgiven.
What's going on there? Ain't no point in keeping it a secret. One of our own shot with his own pistol, which we can't seem to find.
I want to stick with you, and if we're going to stick together, we have to go right now.
Don't move. Get in the truck. Turn on the car and drive.
Oh, I think I'll hold on to that. This ain't your gun.
Just give it back to me.
I will. You tell me who it belongs to.
I shot him until he wasn't moving no more.
I know a place you can go. Somewhere safe. I'm going to trust you. You're going to have to trust me.
What the hell is going on?
You need that old place. I'll explain everything later.
All right, I got your back.
A woman came into the shelter, a little girl. Now, the lady working there says she found a pistol on her before she took off running. I just need to know if Russell stayed here with you the night before last.
Of course, I know he was here.
We got one brother dead. I ain't looking to be another.
Seems like you and I were tied together by some sort of invisible rope.
Just do the best you can for right now. You don't worry about tomorrow until it comes.
David, somebody help us!
This is the end for us.
Life's a whirlwind. We're all caught up in it.
Ooh. Nadine Crocker directed it. Wow.
All joking aside, any thoughts?
Generic. It's like they just spin the wheel and say, okay, we've got this story, we'll match it with this title, and we'll try to get these people and slide them in here. And Gibson's problem is that if he did one thing that was received well, he would be right back in everybody's good graces. That's how Hollywood works. That's how Hollywood works.
I give a slight disagreement with that, but he is doing a fairly big project, which is, I think it's on Peacock. It's called The Continental. It's the John Wick universe. It's like that hotel that the assassins stay in. So he is, I think he plays the main character, like the gatekeeper of the hotel.
All right.
I'm a John Wick fan. I actually just watched part 4 on the movie on the flight to or from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I've never seen any of those, but look,
But can I just add on this particular movie? I definitely agree with you. It's like spin the wheel of plot. However, I like Garrett Hedlund. I don't know, for some reason he gives I feel like he gives a nice gritty performance. And if I was sitting around with a couple hours and nothing to do and I wanted to watch another one of these generic guy gets out of prison trying to do right, but getting dragged into something based on circumstances and the family help, I might watch this. I don't think it doesn't have that absolute cheese factor that we've watched some of the other people on Last of the Action Heroes, some of their straight to streaming trailers.
I think it does.
All right. Okay.
It just looks like one of them. That's what I don't like about it. But
one of those people.
Yeah, one of oh, shut up.
All right, before we, I hear you. I'm not let's say, I'm not giving a thumbs up to it, but it does. I don't know. I like Garrett Hedlund. He's been in a couple of good things, so I guess if it came up on some kind of screen, would I watch it? If I had nothing to do, maybe.
Hey, if I find it in the 8-track bin at the local car wash, I'll pick it up.
No, hey, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. Check out Peacock, The Continental. Mel is in that, and that's a pretty big streamer. That's a major piece for Peacock with the Wick franchise. So, Groo, let's finish up on a sad note. We're going back maybe a week or two already, but new details, Groo, have emerged about the sudden death of WWE superstar Bray Wyatt, whose real name was Wyndham Rotunda. Died, I think, two Thursdays ago from a heart attack at the age of just 36. Bray Wyatt, Groo, had been taking a nap at the time, and his fiancée, former WWE ring announcer JoJo Offerman, became worried when she heard his alarm go off an hour later, and it was just going off. It wasn't stopping, so she found him in his bed, not breathing and, quote, turning blue, according to the official report. Offerman's mother attempted CPR while Offerman called 911. Bray Wyatt was later pronounced dead at the hospital. The tragic incident occurred months after we found out Wyatt was alleged to have had COVID-19 and developed heart complications from it. Doctors recommended to Wyatt that he keep a heart defibrillator with him. While it's unclear if that would have saved Wyatt's life, the defibrillator was not on him when he died and was later found inside his vehicle in the driveway, according to TMZ. Wyatt had been hospitalized for heart issues a week before he died. Per TMZ, he had actually met with doctors the morning he died, in which they recommended that he continue to wear the external heart defibrillator. A lot of things to perhaps unpack. We got still a lot of things to cover, but Groo, extremely sad news coming from the world of pro wrestling. Bray Wyatt gone.
Yeah, sad, shocking, but for some reason not all that surprising. It just seemed like there was something bad going on from the get-go because it was being very secretive and nobody was talking about anything, and that's just not the way things go in the wrestling world. Very sad, but look, I still think there was something more to this whole thing than what they're saying, because the whole thing still doesn't make sense. But if it is what it is, your doctor tells you to do something, you fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I can say there.
I mean, if you have an external defibrillator, I'm wondering if he was, apparently, according to the wrestling dirt sheets, he was, I think, given a go-ahead to start performing again.
I don't see how that
I don't see how you can.
Any sense.
I don't see how you can either. I don't know. Triple H got a defibrillator, I think, placed on his heart, and he said, "I'm done." That's it. So
yeah, that's it. He's also 20 years older than Wyatt, but still, regardless of how old you are, you know, very little of this makes any sense, and that just makes it all the more tragic.
How do you think, how will you remember Bray Wyatt as a performer?
Unfortunately, my memory will always be what might have been, because I don't think he had hit his peak. He was really going somewhere with the Wyatt family, and they just broke that up. And then I never really got on board with the whole Fiend thing, because the matches weren't they weren't earning the other stuff. They weren't going so well with the other stuff. They had a couple of those Firefly Funhouse matches, which were okay. But to me, his best stuff will be with the Wyatt family, and I miss that Bray Wyatt. I miss the whole Bray Wyatt, but that's the one that I think really would have eventually won out, if you're looking at like the Three Faces of Foley kind of thing. That, I don't know if that's where they were headed, but I would hope that would have been. But unfortunately, it's something we will never know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he actually did hit his high point, which was the Wyatt family. And there was a lot of excitement towards The Fiend, but that booking didn't really have a lot of legs, because, as you indicated, the matches had to be structured in a certain way. And unlike maybe a similar character like The Undertaker, he didn't have, if I'm to be honest, he didn't have the athletic chops like an Undertaker, and so the matches sometimes didn't come across all that well. I think I'll remember him as...
He was also losing.
The Fiend did lose occasionally, but he was booked like a demon, and he couldn't lose, and then when he lost, it was a real big hit to the character. Nonetheless, I say, my memory, he was like an enigma. Like he got to that highest level, but he just could never cross over it and stay there for a consistent amount of time. And I agree with you. I think the Wyatt family was the one that had the most legs. They chose to go different avenues. I think the Firefly, well, here I'm doing the same thing as you. The Firefly Funhouse match against John Cena at the COVID WrestleMania was phenomenal, in the sense of, I've called it like the wrestling Dark Side of the Moon. It's a fascinating piece of cinema for 16 or 17 minutes, with a lot of great Easter eggs and a lot of things about Cena and Wyatt, and it's a fun watch. I'll say that. It's a fascinating watch, but
the Wrestleverse.
Yes, his highest point to me was the stuff with the Wyatt family.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt.
All right, Groo, before we move on to sudden deathy, we got to talk about it. Groo, All Elite Wrestling has announced that it has terminated the contract with the one and only CM Punk, a.k.a. Phillip Brooks, effective immediately. Decision was made after an internal investigation into a backstage incident involving Punk at AEW's All In London on August 27th. Quoting Tony Khan, Phil played an important role within AEW, and I thank him for his contributions. Quote, I am making this decision in the best interest of the many amazing people who made AEW possible every week, our talent, staff, venue operators, and many others whose efforts are unsung but essential to bringing our fans great shows on television and at the arenas and stadiums throughout the world. According to AEW's statement, the decision was made following a consultation with the AEW Discipline Committee and external legal counsel, who unanimously recommended that CM Punk be terminated with cause. Groo, the backstage incident in question was reported to be an altercation with fellow wrestler Jack Perry, son of 90210 scion Luke Perry, Tony Khan also addressed the incident at the opening of last Saturday's AEW Collision, saying in front of the fans, "Never in 30 years have I ever felt anything until last Sunday that my security, my safety, my life was in danger at a wrestling show. I don't feel that anyone should feel that way at work." Groo, CM Punk was previously suspended from AEW following the infamous press scrum at All Out 2022, which later reportedly turned into a backstage brawl. Punk eventually made his return to AEW in June of 2023. Andrew Gruthius, the floor is yours. CM Punk fired from AEW.
Good. How many times does it take to realize this guy's an asshole? And
how many roads must a guy be an ass?
It's like bad. To paraphrase an old joke, it's like bad milk. It's this milk is sour, and then you put it back and say maybe tomorrow it'll be fresh. The guy's a douche.
Please, hold on, please. Let me hear that analogy again about sour milk.
It's like you grab a
I got to write this for the. This is going to be the wrap up online.
It's not my thing. It's the paraphrase.
Sour milk analogy.
It's not my analogy, but you pull some milk out of the thing, you drink it, you say, "Ooh, it's sour," and you put it back. Maybe tomorrow it'll be fresh. Like that doesn't happen. And CM Punk it's like obviously the guy's a loose cannon. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He thinks the world owes him everything. And why would anybody hire him at this point except like local places that need to sell out buildings? The guy's such a douche. And it's interesting how everyone's talking about, will he go to the WWE and blah, 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 blah. And does the WWE want him and all that? He left the WWE. Who knows if he wants to go there? No one's asking him. He's the one who turned his back on them.
But this is social media. People debate over and...
I don't mind the debate. I'm giving my side of the debate. My side of the debate is fuck him. It's enough already. Enough making yourself bigger than the business. That's what he does. Is that not what he does?
Okay. You've said a lot. I'm going to respond to everything that you said.
Go ahead.
Andrew is not factually incorrect in his or not. I don't disagree with his opinion. But he's being a little shaded because he just said, well, if Steven Seagal came out with a television show, I'd give it a shot. And my thing is, if I'm the WWE, I absolutely take a meeting with him, and I absolutely see where his headspace is at if he's willing to meet with me. And if the circumstances are right, without 200%, without any hesitation, I would bring CM Punk back to the WWE if the circumstances are right. He is by far the biggest name still not under their banner, still out there. And if they're able to bring him in, it will be massive business. And the WWE and CM Punk would be foolish to turn a blind eye to that. Now, do I say you bring him in and you make no provisions in a contract? No, and obviously they're not dumb. They'll have to set up to where they feel the situation is right. He's not coming in on a position of strength. But I've read Impact. He's not going to go to Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling is on Tim's cable network with no clearance anywhere. If he's to go back, I've said this before, CM Punk returning in AEW, I'm interested. I watched a clip or two on YouTube. That's it. I never put him on television. CM Punk, knowing his history in WWE, to go back into a WWE ring, yeah. To borrow a phrase, I'm all in on that, and I'd love to see it. And there's a ton of fresh matches and a ton of fresh scenarios to bring him in, and I think would only strengthen their position. Andrew has to remember, WWE, Vince McMahon has always done what's best for business. He brought back Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall when they saw, not that they had that kind of real tarnished image, but they certainly were known to be locker room killers back in 2003 or whenever they brought them back. And they got 2 amazing WrestleMania matches out of Hogan after that. If the circumstances are right, I absolutely would take a meeting with him. Absolutely, without a doubt.
I agree with that. Taking a meeting, absolutely, but I have no problem with that. Do you really think that he would be so welcomed back by like the WWE universe, like the fans?
Maybe not, but neither was Hulk Hogan. Oh, the fans?
Like you said, it would be massive business. Do you really think?
Do you think it's CM Punk returns, whether they boo him or cheer him? I guarantee that place is a sellout. I guarantee that their ratings are close to a 3 on television or whatever clearance on premium live event, that those numbers will be staggering for the world of wrestling. You know, whether or not he's welcomed back by the fans, he's going to get some kind of reaction, and that's all the WWE and I'm sure CM Punk would care about. Again, I'm only surmising, but I would absolutely gauge interest and bring him back. Sure, he's acted like an a-hole. My only thing would have been, if I don't know if I was Tony Khan, I would have certainly spoken to the fans and out in front of Collision. I don't know if I would have put it on television, and I don't know if I would have said I was fearful of my security. Apparently, there's rumors that he lunged at Tony Khan. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying, as a businessman, I'm going to try. I'm not saying it's the high road. I'm going to try to be protective of all people. And
yeah, I agree.
I think he deserves to go up in front of the fans and tell them I've moved on from CM Punk, and that's probably pretty much what I would have said and would have started the show. That's it.
Either way, didn't move the needle for me, and I guess it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. I
don't know.
It's like a risk versus reward. I don't know. To me, it's right now. It feels like they're firing on all cylinders and everything's working. But I guess you're right. If it's good for business and it's going to get headlines and then you do it.
Plus, I say under Triple H's stead,
yeah,
he's really made a reputation. For a guy who had a reputation as a wrestler of being super political and douchey behind the scenes as an executive, he's brought back Bruno Sammartino. Maybe he had something to do with bringing back Bret Hart into the fold. Bruno, Ultimate Warrior. I'm sure there's even more bigger names. Remembering also that CM Punk apparently, to some success and not success, showed up at a Raw, apparently talked to The Miz before he was escorted out, which I think was by Vince McMahon's. I think CM Punk has already made overtures that he'd like to be back in the WWE. Whether it happens or not, who knows? Under Triple H, I'll give it a 51% chance that we see CM Punk back in a WWE ring.
I'm still interested to hear exactly what happened at this thing. That's still not really out there.
It was him and Jack Perry. Jack Perry is being seen on, whether it was on the AEW live event, it was something to do with glass, and he was in his match with a car, and he yells out, "It's real glass!" And that might have been a dig at Punk, who might have questioned. I don't know. I don't even want to surmise over it. So that I don't. I could give two shits about. But yeah, CM Punk was clearly unprofessional, and he got shit canned. So there you go, with cause.
Good.
So what probably means he has no rights to whatever remaining salary and blah 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 blah. Who knows if there's
he could show up on Raw tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't think there is like an NDA or a non-compete, so he could go on whatever podcast or whatever show and just open up the floodgates.
Yeah, do it while it's hot.
That's hot. All right, Groo. It's 2 hours and we haven't even talked about sudden death. I don't even have the commercial ready, so let's just go right into it. Sudden Death is a 1995 action thriller directed by Peter Hyams, starring our guy Jean Claude Van Damme, Powers Boothe, Raymond J. Barry, and Dorian Harewood. The film pits a lone fire marshal against extortionists who hold unsuspecting NHL players and fans for ransom during Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Off the back, Groo, I'm sorry, but Lord, this sounds like an overt Die Hard rip.
Keep going.
All right, Groo, we also know that Peter Hyams shares a very special relationship with one Mr. Jean Claude Van Damme. They worked together on 1994 Time Cop, which I liked, but it was a tiny miss in terms of loving. They've also worked together on Sudden Death, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Peter Hyams contributed to the cinematography for his son John's effort in Universal Soldier Regeneration, the third official Universal Soldier sequel starring Jean-Claude and Dolph Lundgren. Peter Hyams directed the thriller Enemies Closer, which starred Jean-Claude, which filmed in late 2012. It marked his fourth and third directorial collaboration with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Groo, when you see a director work with a guy like this 3 or 4 times, is this a mutual healthy respect, money deal, or a bit of both?
Probably both. That's what they're doing here. If you look at I'm just going back to your response to the plot synopsis, but you're talking about Peter Hyams, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and at this point, let's see, 95, he was probably past his prime as far as the kind of movies that he did. I remember he did Running Scared with Billy Crystal in the 80s.
Did he do No Way Out? No, the Costner. Did he do that one?
Possible. I don't know.
I think he did.
Go
ahead.
Either way. His heyday is...
I'm going to get a drink from the fridge.
Okay, so
give us a quick Peter Hyams take.
Peter Hyams, let's see. Peter Hyams, a very good director. He directed Running Scared in 1986. Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines, very funny movie, like one of those beginning buddy cop movies, which are always, when they're well done. So let's see. Peter Hyams, is he still alive? It doesn't say here.
I believe he is.
It would. I hope he is. That'd be nice. He was alive as of 2013 because that's his last credit here as a director. Going down the list, yeah, he did End of Days in '99 with Schwarzenegger. So Sudden Death. All right, so here he's doing in the '90s. He's basically a for-hire action director, but he's got Running Scared and The Presidio with, I remember that one, Sean Connery and Mark Harmon.
That must have been pretty big.
Yeah, Narrow Margin, Gene Hackman, Stay Tuned. That was a John Ritter comedy, and then Time Cops. I wouldn't say he's like a super A-lister, but he's not that far off. I don't know, tough to place him in the lexicon of. But I did love Running Scared's a great movie. So this one, he's definitely taking it for the money. I mean, you work.
What are your thoughts? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Powers Boothe. I thought I'd do a quick little hitter on Powers before we move on to the movie. I mean, I could give you. I took a clip of. He's got a lot of stuff from TV and movies. Tombstone, Nixon, Cruising, Red Dawn, Blue Sky, Sudden Death.
All right, here's my take on Powers Boothe.
Oh, here we go.
A terrific actor, but not what you're going for in this movie. I feel like he's part of, and rest in peace. He was really good. But to me, it's like they wrote this part for Christopher Walken, but they couldn't afford him, so they go to the B level, which would be like a Powers Boothe. Like they definitely wrote this someone who would chew the hell out of the scenery and be completely over the top with it. And Powers Boothe is actually doing it as a more refined actor instead of eating up the scenery like a Jack Nicholson would or somebody like that. So I feel maybe even like they wanted like a Tommy Lee Jones for this type of, but I think...
Okay, I'm interested in that because I actually thought the movie started building momentum when Powers Boothe, that opening scene where he says nothing, turns the little oven timer, and everyone starts, the whole super army of bad guys starts running to...
Army. There were more bad guys in the arena than good guys. I mean, Jesus
that's what
Christ.
I'm saying. He turns you don't remember that opening scene where he turns the oven timer and all the guys start getting to work?
Yeah.
I thought he actually did a great job.
He did a great job with what he was given, and he wasn't given much. And I feel like I hate to piss on a man's grave.
Well, don't give too much away of your review.
No, that's not my review. I feel like somebody, like the part called for a more over-the-top villain.
Well,
and then he played it. I think he underplayed it. That's what I'll say. I think he underplayed it. I know what he was going for, and if the movie was made a little bit differently, it would have fit. But especially the way it ended, I don't feel the way he played it really meshed with the rest of the movie.
I'll say it does insert good character actor, bad guy here. It's Hans Gruber, Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, I get that, but I thought, the smoke and the cigarette, the movie, he's brutal at times. It's like insert snarky, you're not going to get away with this. Oh, yes, I am. Bullet hole to somebody's head. I don't know. It was brutal at times, and I thought his performance...
I'll tell you, I'll put it all in perspective right now. I wasn't threatened by him.
Okay, fair enough.
When I'm watching Die Hard, I'm like, look out for this fucking guy. Like, I did not consider him to be a threat, even though he's killing people left and right. I just didn't believe it the way you're supposed to believe it. So, unfortunately.
All right. Clearly here, the movie is, I would say, taking the typical Van Damme approach, which is Jean Claude and a deep, if not unspectacular cast. Would you agree with that piece?
Like I
Raymond
said,
Barry is the vice president. Dorian Hayward is Hallmark.
That's the thing. That's the thing. To me, it's the B level. Because I remember thinking this at the time. So you got Raymond J. Barry as the vice president. Does a very good job, but they probably wanted a J.T. Walsh, and they couldn't afford him. So you get that's what you get, the lesser known character actor. Then you have Dorian Harewood, who, unfortunately, in my opinion, would be the world's worst poker player, because from the second he comes on screen, you know exactly what he's going to do. Because to me, they probably wanted like a Denzel Washington for that part and make it like a two-hander, but they couldn't afford Denzel, so they go to the lesser guy. And that's the way the cast seems to me.
All right, so let me go
including
to
its lead, including Van Damme.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am all right. I can't.
I think this movie was written for somebody else, but go ahead.
Okay. Did you think the movie tipped its hand by having Hallmark, Dorian Hayward's character, and the government agents bumbling around so much, looking like complete buffoons, that it tipped their hand as to the plot point a little bit further down in the movie?
Oh, yeah. Just the way he was taking everything so seriously. Like it was a serious situation, but the look on his face, he's terrorized. That's not how the Secret Service handles things. He was just so overplaying it. If Powers Boothe was underplaying it, this guy was overplaying it, and it was just, he was good in one. He really nailed it in one scene, and that was the scene where the kid out mind fucked him, which was a really good scene.
What a way to characterize it, but
seriously, that was the one scene where he brought it. So he's a pretty good actor, and just again with just like Powers Boothe, it just doesn't seem like he's fitting here.
Okay, typical Van Damme, insert 2 or 3 cute kids. I thought the kids gave pretty credible performances.
Yes, the kid, and one of the kids is recognizable. He was in another. I think he was from like Sleepless in Seattle, which was a popular movie.
Ross Malinger?
I don't remember his name, but I remember him from that movie. He was in a movie with, I think, Paul Reiser. So he was somewhat recognizable, and he's pretty good in what are essentially throwaway roles, with the exception of that one scene, in my opinion.
I can't wait to hear Andrew's final review, because he's already got me interested. I'm actually interested to give my final review. What about, was that Miss Roper, Audra Lindley, Miss Ferraro?
In the beginning, yes, yeah. Which was very interesting to see, and it took me a couple minutes to realize it was her, because I just remember her with like big like a flower pot hair and like a weird maid's robe or whatever those things were called, muumuus or something, but from Three's Company. But yeah, that was Mrs. Roper in the beginning. Poor girl.
All right, Groo, listen, let's get right to it. Sudden Death is rated R for a substantial amount of strong violence and language. The plot synopsis, Groo, Darren McCord takes his 2 kids to the Pittsburgh Penguins National Hockey League playoff game, unknowing that the sports arena... very organic name to... And by the way, can we have another Van Damme movie that gives us that little exposition scene in the beginning?
Yeah. 5 years ago.
It's always something so
damaged. This damaged man.
Yeah, everyone.
This damaged man is taking his kids to a hockey game.
Yeah. I actually felt, I don't know if you agree with me, why not actually have the movie start off current day, and maybe if you want to refer to something traumatic that happened a few years earlier, but you don't always have to see it. I don't know. I feel like every Van Damme movie, and a lot of the 90s, you talk about tropes, it was always that early exposition scene where you got to get the setup to where the guy's traumatized in current day.
In this movie's case, yes, because what happened before has literally no connection to what's happening now. It's all about, it's supposed to, all of a sudden, you're trying to set up this character study, and then you're doing then you got the guy taking the vice president hostage at a hockey game. No, it doesn't work. You're right. For this kind of movie, yes, you don't need. Yeah, for this kind of movie, you don't need to see what happened before. You just got to know he's fucked up in the head. He's divorced, and all you could do that in 5-second exposition. If the movie were a little bit deeper, even Die Hard, for example, Die Hard is no. I'm gonna say the character of John McClane is a much deeper character than Darren McCord. Okay,
clearly.
So what I'm saying is there's much more going on in this whole adventure than just what. So in a more quality story with more character development, yes, the more you see, the better. Here, it's not necessary. That's not what we're here for.
But you don't get in Die Hard, John McClane's arresting 2 kids in Brooklyn, and somehow somebody gets away, and he shoots somebody in the shoulder blade, and he's traumatized for the
right. I'm just saying it would work. I'm just saying it would work better there. You don't need it here.
All right, should we just go right to our review?
No, because you might be surprised by my review.
You know what I feel like? I want to say L.A. Night.
And everybody's saying, hey, yeah.
Nah, the place is taken over by terrorists.
Love the guy.
They're holding the vice president of the United States, as well as many other high-ranking officials. Darren later becomes the only one who's aware of the situation, and the stakes are raised when the terrorists announce that they will blow up the building at the end of the game. Therefore, Darren must not only subdue the terrorists, but postpone the game and send it into overtime with an amazing save and a butte.
Did you not think that was going to happen? That something like that was going to get him on the ice into this game?
I've seen more ridiculous scenarios in other movies. However, yes. Do you want to queue up some movie fun facts?
Absolutely. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Ready. Get ready for some fun facts about sudden death.
Nothing Worthwhile presents Fun Facts.
All right, Andrew. Movie fun fact, according to writer Randy Feldman, who wrote the first draft of the screenplay for the movie as a comedy action movie parody. The only scene that remained in the finished film was the scene where Van Damme fights the penguin mascot. The original vision for this movie would become the basis for the remake, Welcome to Sudden Death 2020, I think, starring Michael Jai.
White.
Yeah. Do you see this as this could have been almost like a parody comedy kind of deal?
Yeah, but
in a bad movie way, or
I don't know. There's just nothing. There's not enough there. I don't think. I'd be interested to see because Randy Feldman, I believe, also wrote like Tango and Cash. So if he's talking on those lines, maybe I could see it. A little more lighthearted. About terrorists.
A nice lighthearted terrorist movie.
Yeah.
Stop, or my mom will shoot.
Yeah.
He almost shot The film was shot during the NHL lockout during the 1994-95 season, which was finally resolved later that year. I don't know if that's a fun fact, but anyway. Maybe you're right, Groo. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and Bruce Willis were all considered for the role of Darren McCord, but the three turned the role down before Jean Claude Van Damme got the part. Schwarzenegger turned the role down because he had already filmed True Lies, 1994, and Junior, 1994, back-to-back. Stallone turned down the role because he reportedly didn't like the quality of the script. Willis turned the part down because he was already working on Die Hard with a Vengeance, 1995. Andrew, perhaps you were onto something.
Yeah, I would say the best reason here was probably Stallone's reason. I could see how, I could see how they could pass this script around to all of them. To me, it would have been fine in Seagal's hands. Yeah, I just think it was like a.
Wait. Somehow it would be fine in Steven Seagal's hands. But
it felt like a Steven Seagal movie. That's what it felt like.
It feels like a Die Hard rip. The question is going to be, when we get to our final review, please save final thoughts, is did they do it well enough or credible enough that you could overlook that piece and enjoy it for the overall movie? To me, clearly, I remember back in 95 seeing this movie and going, oh gosh, Die Hard, starring Jean Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Question, is it meaty enough? Is there enough there where you can go,
I'm not going to say yet. I'm not going to say yet.
Good.
I'm going to save that.
Boy, listen, it doesn't take Nostradamus to see where you're going with this. Peter Hyams wasn't interested in making the film, Groo, when he first heard about it, thinking it was a lame idea. Oy vey, this is not boding well for sudden deathy. For an action film, but Jean Claude, who had done Time Cop 1994 with Hyams, recruited him after accepting the lead role, and Hyams liked Van Damme's idea for the film enough to agree to sign on as a director. So that's, I guess Peter Hyams wasn't interested, but when Jean Claude signed on, he was interested. I guess that's plausible.
All right. Fair enough.
Okay. Andrew, as usual, you are a stellar mathematician. Would you like to give a guess as to the box office for Sudden Death, 1995?
Yes, I saw this in the theater, and I remember it being a modest hit, but not quite what they had hoped. I'm going to say...
Give me overall, total gross worldwide.
I'm going to say it topped out at 70 million.
As I said, folks, Andrew is a stellar mathematician. I have 64.4 million for the worldwide gross. Opened up December 22nd.
Is there a budget?
Budget. I don't have the budget. Maybe you can look it up real quick on your computer. I apologize.
I'm going to guess while you're telling me about the other stuff. I'm going to guess the budget was in the $30 million range. And I'll look it up now.
Oh, I was going to... Okay, go ahead. Look it up. You said 30 million? Look it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
30 million. That sounds maybe a little high to me, but go ahead.
It looked good. The movie looked good.
It does. There's some blue screeny stuff.
There always is.
But...
where would you...
I will agree.
Box
There is a rich feel to this movie. It does look pretty, like in the scope of Die Hard, the scenes with the hockey arena, it does look on a pretty massive scale. I still think 30 mil sounds a little bit much for the budget, but go. What do you got?
I'm having trouble finding it.
Look it up. I'll look it up on my phone.
You got your special. You always have your secret sources that I can never.
Sudden death box. Sudden death.
Oh, I see. I got it. 35 mil. I said 30, but yeah, announced budget of $35 million.
So I'm assuming against a total gross of 64, that's a minor, if at all, a success. That's got to be, even back in 95, disappointing, right?
It was probably disappointing for them because that is a high budget for what they were doing at the time, but it's still profitable. It's still a hit. $70 million in 95. These were the pre-Titanic days.
Does that budget reflect like advertising and like commercials and stuff? Is that factored in there?
I don't know. You never really know. But either way, he could say he made more than they spent.
Groo, a critical response on Rotten Tomatoes. You want to give a gander as to the Rotten?
Yeah, I'll probably say
critical.
I'll say critical. It probably had a maybe 30%, somewhere around there.
50% based on 36
Wow,
reviews with an average
50%.
rating of 5.11 out of 10.
Okay.
The website's consensus states Sudden Death may not be a classic, but exciting set pieces and strong work from Jean Claude Van Damme helped this action thriller pay off part of its die-hard debt. Very interesting. Audiences Groo, polled by CinemaScore, gave the average film a grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale. So the fans seem to like it. Andrew, let me give you a couple of top critics. Mick LaSalle from the San Francisco Chronicle. Sudden Death is one of the best action thrillers of 1995. It's also the film Jean-Claude Van Damme had been building up to for 10 years. Peter Travers, Rolling Stone, despite elaborate stunts, go direction from Peter Hyams, plus butt-kicking and surprise goalie action from Van Damme. Death deserves the Hockey Puck Booby Prize for getting its jollies by putting kids in jeopardy. Kevin Thomas, LA Times, a treat for Jean-Claude Van Damme fans. A superior action thriller loaded with jaw-dropping stunts and special effects, strong in production values. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. Perhaps the world does not require more than a dozen or so die-hard clones. You tell me. Thank you, Roger. Wah. Richard Harrington from the Washington Post. Though the climactic duel atop the arena is patently absurd, it's also exciting as events go into sudden death overtime, just like the game played below. And finally, James Berardinelli from Real Views. About the best thing that could be said for this movie is that the action scenes directed by Peter Hyams are choreographed with flair. Unfortunately, the material connecting to them is worthless. All right, Andrew has hinted. He's given us some clues, some breadcrumbs throughout this podcast on his thoughts. Let's get Andrew Gruthius' final review on the Van Damme scale of 0 to 4 hockey sticks. Andrew, please give us your review, your hockey stick rating, and your thoughts, your review on Sudden Death and to why. Floor is yours.
All right. So Sudden Death is less than the sum of its parts, and by that, director, actors, script, everything, with the exception of Van Damme is fine, even though you could tell that this movie was written for 20 other people besides him, and he was just slotted in there. They could have at least changed the name to something a little more believable, but they just don't want to. I don't know why they keep doing the same thing. This movie is a lot of fun. It's a fun premise that just doesn't quite get there because it's not 100% sure what it's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be laughable? Or are we supposed to be really frightened and taking it very seriously? Are we supposed to be scared for these little kids like we were scared for the people in the building in Die Hard or in movies that are similar that worked better than this one? You never get that sense of dread. I think the only couple moments that I really thought they nailed it were with the vice president and his willingness to protect the daughter. Like that rung true to me. And also when Dorian Harewood's character, as I said before, he got outwitted by the son. So those were two good moments. Other than that, everything was just cookie cutter as far as I'm concerned. There could have been some fun had with the woman dressed as the Penguin, but
I love that.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay, but I feel like they should have gone further with it. I think that's the problem. I think just when you're taking it seriously, it does something really silly, like getting him into the goal. That was just, it was so dumb because it really had nothing to do with anything other than just an excuse to get him in the goal and whatever. I think they could have worked a little harder on that. Plus, I have a huge problem with the end where I feel that they could have done something really fun Why the hell would he was done? He was escaped. All right, Powers Boothe. He was escaped. He was out. Okay? So then all of a sudden the girl spots him. Nobody's paying any attention to her. He could just slip out and get away and it'd be over. But no, he had to grab the little girl, get into the chopper, and then die. Because that's what the script told him to do. It would have been interesting to have him literally, because all Van Damme cared about was saving his kids. Okay? Right. So he's got his kids, the bombs are defused, whatever. Let the guy get away and, have like maybe 6 months later or something. I don't know. Do something interesting. But they didn't. So, my final review. Okay? Fun to watch. I enjoyed it more when I saw it in the theater 20-something years ago than I liked it now. But still, I enjoyed watching it. I'm going to give it 2 hockey sticks out of 4. I did not dislike it, but it didn't quite do what I feel it could have done. It just didn't quite get there for me. 2 out of 4.
Wow. I am shocked and stunned.
Why?
Because I'm going to tell you my thoughts on this.
Okay.
Andrew, I give you my good, my bad, and my final review. Good, and maybe Andrew disagrees, but I did the characters in this movie. I thought they were actually some of the best action sequences in the Van Damme movie. Great kills in this movie. Great violent kills. Bone. The lady goes through a dishwasher. There's some sly humor. I didn't see it as a jumbly point. It sounds like Andrew did. Doesn't want to be action, comedy, blah, blah, blah. I think Jean Claude held up pretty well here. I thought Powers Boothe, I'm not going to say he chewed up the scenery, but I thought he was a fairly credible villain, if not the best one overall in the Van Damme universe. I did Ron Silver and Time Cop. What I didn't like about the movie does have a silly premise. How they get into the arena initially is just so silly.
Yeah.
Like they kill 2 guys in a van. Nobody's going to be around, and they're making all the ID really silly. It is an obvious Die Hard ripoff. But I thought here was a fairly well done rip job. So my final review, and I don't know if Andrew's, but I think my notes, the bar is somewhat low, but I think this is the best overall Van Damme movie so far.
Wow.
I think it exceeds Time Cop with a more coherent plot. Same playbook with Jean Claude. Likeable hero. He always seems to be like the dad he's divorced and got the young kids. We got a deep, if somewhat unspectacular cast. The movie starts off for me and I'm like, the same old Jean Claude with that exposition scene. But I do think when Powers Boothe hits the screen, I think the movie starts to build momentum. I think Jean Claude hangs in there. You got the likable kids, and they hang in there for the ride. I'm going 3 out of 4 hockey sticks for sudden death.
Wow.
I say, look, the bar is low. We've really ripped on some of Jean Claude's movies, and I'm not even saying that, but I thought, given all of its, and I can't disagree with any of Andrew's sort of criticisms, I thought overall it has the biggest, richest look to it, and I thought the action sequences were great, the kills were great. Yeah, it's silly, but I think Jean Claude hangs in there with the rest of the cast, and
I will agree with everything.
It was a fun ride. It was a fun ride for me. I understand Andrew's I think the Powers Boothe character is clearly insert narcissistic, almost somewhat crazy villain, and Powers plays it a little low, but I didn't see that as a flaw, I guess. Just saw that as
I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with everything you say. The only difference for me is that I'm looking at it from a glass is half empty. I feel they could have done better in specific places, and I would have liked to have seen it. And they just, for whatever reason, they seem to have chosen not to. But I agree with everything you say. It is fun, great kills, great fun. It's just. I just tend to see things for what they can be as opposed to what they are. I'm going to stick with mine.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is they never really. He's a fire marshal They never really explain as to why he's so handy with the food.
Get a little creative. Give us more than just, okay, we're just going to accept that he's this damaged guy who knows how to do everything with everything. And he's going to be the only one who can save us. But it's only because he's got 2 kids in the thing. It's just that they could.
Are we to assume that he becomes a fire marshal because of that scene at the beginning? He's so traumatized that he can't really fight fires anymore, that he's, you know what I mean? Is that the
and the fact that the kid says something, the kid's like, he's a fireman. No, he's not. He was too afraid to be a fireman. Thanks for telling us that. And then it's an excuse for Powers Boothe to call him Fireman because you got to have a nickname for him. So it was lazy. It seemed, for a movie that definitely put its heart behind the action sequences and all that, like you said, with some of the writing, it was lazy. And I feel like, I just feel like it could have been a lot better. But still fun, just like you said.
Groo, you want to give us one thing you're watching this week, or 2 things, or 8 things? What are you watching this week?
I'm watching. I was gonna say I had 2, but I'm gonna stick with 1. I'm rewatching actually a great documentary about a lost television show from the 1990s. The documentary is on Hulu. It's called Too Funny to Fail. It's the story of the Dana Carvey show, which is
Why do I feel like you've done this one already?
Have I? All right. If I have, then I'm also watching.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I am. What was I watching? I'm watching on, I think it was on Paramount. No, it couldn't have been on Paramount. It was on Max, watching 100 Years of Warner Brothers, which is I think a 3 or 4 episode thing about the chronology of the Warner Brothers studio. And it's actually a very interesting story about the actual Warner Brothers in the beginning, and then seeing how the different eras of types of movies they were making as opposed to the other studios, what movies came to this studio as opposed to others. It's actually very good. I'm in the middle of it, and I'm enjoying it a lot. But if I didn't do the Dana Carvey one, go check that out on Hulu. It's one of the funniest documentaries I've ever seen.
And is it called Warner Brothers, the documentary on Max? What is it called?
I think it's just called 100 Years of Warner Brothers. I think that's what it's called.
All right.
But I'm enjoying it.
Groo, for me, I'll give God, my nose. Excuse me, everybody.
Excuse me, everybody. All right.
I will give a fairly strong recommendation to the first James Gunn DC Extended Universe movie. I watched Blue Beetle last week. Zolo Maraduena, George Lopez, Susan Sarandon make up a very capable cast. Fun, cute, family superhero movie that sets up a lesser-known DC character to be a major part of the DC Extended Universe moving forward. You could do a lot worse. 2 hours, Zolo. I'll recommend Blue Beetle.
Nice. I'm glad it was good. That's our guy from Cobra Kai there. And so it was good. You enjoyed it? Now, did you see it in the theater?
I did see it in the theater.
Okay. Good theater experience to see it like that?
Yeah, it had been out a couple of weeks, so the theater was maybe half full.
No, it's out. I know it's out.
I had a great time. Yeah, I went with Moni and Marisa and Jaimito and got some snacks, and we watched a movie. And
I could grab a thing of dots from the dollar store and go check it out. Maybe I will.
Yeah, I did pretzel. This movie theater had pretzel bites. It was great. Oh,
they're getting like gourmet now. They're trying to get people back into the theater.
It was certainly expensive enough, but the only thing I might say is Zolo needs to. It's the same. He plays the same kind of nervous. Doesn't have a ton of self-esteem. Unsure of him. He plays the same kind of guy. Same kid for the most part here, but. For the first James Gunn, he had no part of the film, but he's the head of the studio. His first release, it was promising. It wasn't a lights-out knockout. George Lopez is very funny in this movie. Susan Sarandon as the resident baddie does a great job. And it was good.
All right. I think I'd like to check it out.
All right, Andrew. When Groo and I return back to the mothership, hopefully maybe next weekend, we're going to cover... we're going to cross over one final time. For now, 2004, 2 of the greatest sci-fi horror monsters are finally squaring off. It's Alien. It's Predator. It's Alien versus Predator. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Andrew, we'll finally get to it.
Yes, looking forward to that. I got to rewatch a whole bunch of these. I don't need to watch the original Alien quadrilogy, but I want to see Prometheus and some of the other ones, Covenant, and then I definitely want to watch. Now, are we doing the original AVP or are we doing Requiem?
Yes. No, we can do Requiem at another time. I just want to do
this is the original AVP. Okay, all right, good. Because that's the one I haven't seen in a really long time, so I'm looking forward to watching it. Yeah.
Brew, in 1 month's time, we'll return back to Van Dammit, and it's going to be 1997 Double Team, featuring one Jean Claude Van Damme,
Rodman,
everyone's favorite NBA hoopster Dennis Rodman, and everyone's favorite matinee idol with too much plastic surgery, Mickey Rourke. Groo,
oh yeah,
you're either on their side or in their way. Double Team.
I forgot Mickey Rourke was in that. Now I'm really looking forward to watching it again. Yeah, I remember. Now I remember. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, Double Team was fun.
All right.
At least that, as I remember it. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see.
We'll see through our snobby, cynical, middle-aged eyes. Now we'll see what it's like.
No, but if I'm a betting man, I think. All right, I'm just going to say it. It feels like Double Team starts a little bit of the inevitable slide down for Jean Claude.
I would say so, considering that I believe that's exactly what happened. But that doesn't say anything about the movie. Let's see. Looking forward to.
Let's give it a chance.
Give it a chance.
Let's give CM Punk a chance.
Let's give everybody a chance. Everybody gets at least 9 chances.
That's right.
Yes.
All right, Groo. We hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. So take us out of here.
Attaboy. It was great to see you, as always. Great to have our loyal, small but loyal audience listening to us. We're looking to expand, but until the next time we see you,
put all the production, Facebook, Instagram. We're down to 13 people in India. That's it.
We love India and we love you, and because we love you, we will be here next week to talk about AVP, Alien versus Predator. It doesn't get any hotter than that. And then the next time on Van Dammit, we can't wait to go back and take a look at, I think it was 1997's Team Up, Double Team with JCVD and the Worm, Dennis Rodman. And ladies and gentlemen, until then, from us to you, no retreat.
No surrender.
He said, here comes the big boss. Let's get it on.